Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
My last one, what if Tom Hanks just never downloaded, like, Messenger in You've Got Mail? Welcome to the Rom-Com Rewind podcast.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Devin.
And like you, I love rewatching movies over and over again.
You are here. You love romantic comedies. We do as well.
So this is a show where we rewatch rom-coms, break them down a bit for you, maybe take a peek behind the curtain, dig beneath the surface, and decide, does it still hold up?
Today we have Look Both Ways. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, a million places you could be listening to us, if there's a bell icon, some kind of follow, subscribe thing, that just lets you know about when we have episodes. And, you know, you made it 35 seconds in. Maybe you want to be updated on our new stuff. As well, if you hear anything that you think I disagree with that, or I want to hear more about that, or I want to leave a comment of some kind, Instagram at RomcomRewind, TikTok at RomcomRewind, or you can email romcomrewind@gmail.com. Look Both Ways is brand new, by the way. It's a 2022 romantic comedy drama by Netflix. It's a very similar premise to Sliding Doors, 1998, Gwyneth Paltrow, if you're familiar with that. But this is the story of Natalie Bennett, played by Lily Reinhart. You know her from Riverdale. I think life brings all of us singular moments that can change the entire trajectory of our existence. This film is really a tale of one of those moments. We have Natalie Bennett, university senior, has one fantastic night hooking up with her best friend Gabe, that's played by Danny Ramirez, and then we end up at a crossroads. There's one version of reality where Natalie gets pregnant after that fateful night. Her and Gabe must move back to her hometown, in with her parents, and begin parenting this new child. There's another version of reality. Natalie moving off to Los Angeles to becoming an inspiring animator under Lucy Calloway, played by Nia Long. She also moves there with her other friend Kara, played by Aisha D, and meets love interest Jake, played by David Cornswit. We see both of these parallel universes play out almost side by side over the next 5 years, with her entire life diverging at that point. How differently will her life end up? That's the lead-in for Look Both Ways.
Have you ever wondered, what if? What if I'd moved to that city, gone to another school, or considered hooking up with that one friend?
What could possibly change?
Can a single moment change your life?
Just to rule it out.
Well, this is my moment.
It's like the multiverse.
Is exactly like the multiverse, Sarah. I mean, really, it's two multiverses, but yes, that's entirely what it is.
Yeah, multiple timelines.
Multiple timelines, one decision here changes life completely.
Everything.
You're half a second too late for the bus. You missed work one day. Maybe that was the day that the donuts were poisoned. Everybody else did. You know what?
Wow, that went dark.
Any version of things. Every decision we make spins off to another parallel universe of a different reality of how things are happening.
I really liked this movie. I loved the take on it, that it had two lives shown. You know me, I always want to, what could have been and happy ending, and this gave me just that. Without spoiling too much, up front, I am happy about the ending, that we didn't know what life it was going to be. It ended with her and the pregnancy test and not knowing which route it was. And I liked that. I loved Lily in this movie too. She should do more rom-coms.
I agree. Well, first of all, this was a really sweet, charming film. Lily Reinhart, though, I think there's something here. Full admission, maybe you're listening and you watch Riverdale religiously and you're like, obviously, Devin. I have not, though. So this was uncharted territory, and I couldn't help but really enjoy her. There was a very easiness to her acting, I think. Maybe the script was really in her wheelhouse, but it was it made it a very easily digestible movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it flowed really well.
It did.
Even though they were going back and forth between storylines. And at first I was like, oh God, how am I going to write? Like, how am I going to figure out how I'm going to talk about this on the podcast? But they did a really good job weaving in and out of both of the timelines, I found.
And I thought like this is a fairly uncommon premise, but it has been done before. Specifically, it is very similar to Sliding Doors, but it does kind of pull on something like we talked about that is very real life. What if you missed that train? Or what if you didn't apply for that job? Or what if you didn't go to the bar that one time and meet that person? We all have these what if moments in our lives.
Yeah.
So it's very enjoyable to see a telling of two stories like that.
So they're graduating from university, and Nat and her friend Gabe, they end up hooking up, saying nothing will change and that they'll just stay friends.
Classic friend hookup. Have you ever had one? Hey, we're just friends. We're just really good friends. We're just really good friends. We're going to just this one time. Just
No.
to see how it feels. No, you've never. Okay, me neither.
Okay, I was going to say no.
Whew, man, it's hot in here.
Oh, maybe
my
you
God.
have.
Yeah, that's the joke I'm making.
Okay, wow.
I thought that was obvious.
So they go to a big party, and it's to celebrate, their graduation. And I believe it's at one of the sorority houses. And we meet Kara, and she gets to the party with the necessities, either saltines for feeling sick with food poisoning or some prego tests.
Yes, because we meet Natalie, and she is hunched over a toilet.
Yes, she's puking in the toilet. And so she takes a test. They set the clock and they wait. And this is kind of where the moment diverges.
Yep.
It in one regard, it turns out that she's not pregnant. They cheers with tequila, but in the another dual universe, she is positive and she's pregnant.
Now, can we take a quick pause? Because as a listener, this might end up being a little confusing because we're going to talk about two different Natalies.
Yes. So the way that I differentiated it in my mind was LA life and family life. So in the, I'm going to say the family life, or the fam life,
Natalie.
Family Natalie, yeah. She tells Gabe that she is pregnant, and he says it should be her choice, and that he's there to support her with whatever she chooses to do.
Yep.
And so she decides that she's going to have the baby, and but they're not going to be a couple. They're just going to be friends still, and that he's going to help. And so they move from the sorority house back with her parents, into her parents' house. And
almost my best scene, her telling her parents.
Oh my God, that is my best scene.
Oh, it is? Okay,
yes.
sorry.
No,
Keep
that's
going.
okay. No. I feel like you are great at describing things. So if you
But
really
I don't
want
want
to
to steal
describe
your
it,
best scene.
you're not stealing my thunder. That's totally fine.
Okay. Shout out to Andrea Savage, who is the mom, Tina Bennett, Natalie's mom. Luke Wilson as the father.
I know.
'Kay.
So good.
There's something about Luke Wilson. He did a lot of stuff in like the 90s and 2000s. I feel like I haven't seen him lately.
Yeah.
So seeing him in a very like comedic, angry dad role who's just like furious, but he's trying to hold it together, but he's like, you better who is this guy? Like,
But he like really doesn't care, like part of him's like, oh, okay, like let's, okay, it's happening kind of thing.
I'm pregnant.
Him?
I didn't even know that you guys were.
We're not.
Oh, great.
Yeah, no, we're friends mostly. It was a night, really, just and it was that half a night.
Lord.
So the big thing with Natalie, and you'll see it throughout this movie, is that she has this 5-year plan. She has this 5-year plan that she wants to, become this animator, and she has goals. And her becoming pregnant disrupts those goals. Not necessarily, it doesn't, derail them forever. It just disrupts them for a little bit. And she decides that she's not going to go to LA. And that's a big thing for her because she's always wanted to go to LA. So when they're leaving the sorority house, it shows one leaving with her friend to go to LA. And so that's LA Nat.
Natalie.
And then the other goes home to their parents. And Natalie tells her parents right away that she's pregnant. She kind of like blurts it out like word vomit, and she can't help it. But her parents are pissed.
not happy.
Not happy.
Not happy with Gabe.
The parents are outside arguing, and this is the funniest part. This is like my best scene kind of this, is that Gabe decides that while they're outside arguing, he's like, you know what, Nat? I got to do this because like you're now pregnant. This is the right thing to do. So he gets down on one knee and asks her to marry her. And
at this point, they've gone outside to give each other a moment.
Yeah.
They're complaining about something that I want to talk about, actually. But yeah, she like sees it through the window, and you can hear her muffled be like, no, no, no. And she goes running in to confront him.
part of me is like, okay, parents, you should be more supportive. Your daughter just told you like a massive thing that's affecting her so deeply. And like in that regard, I'm like, okay, like this scene the parents could have handled it a lot better. But the way, like the comedy aspects of this scene is
Hilarious.
is what was funny.
One thing that they're pissed about, not only the fact that, Natalie's pregnant with no plan.
And this is the best part of it.
They're pissed about losing their empty nest.
Yeah.
They talk about how Luke Wilson's like, we wanted to get furniture that had sharp edges. I love Naked Sundays.
Naked Sundays got me. I was like, oh my
so
God.
funny.
I was like, this is a thing? Like, I like this.
They have a trip to Barcelona planned. Sarah,
Which why would it derail that? Still go.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, like you and I are 10 weeks
Yes.
into parenthood.
Yeah.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Is there already something that you're like 18 till Wells is off to college, What can I not wait for?
Oh my God. I mean, I don't think we'll have to wait 18 years, but I think it's just the ease of being able to get up and go even to the grocery store. Like,
true.
Things like that. But just on a road trip or traveling, or it's kind of like you have to bring so much stuff.
Yeah, I used
So
to
it's
think we
just
had to take a
planning.
lot for our dog, Frankie, who, to be fair, Sarah, you baby the hell out of Frankie.
She's my baby.
Well, now you have an actual baby.
Yes. He's
Both
also
of
my
them are
baby.
still getting babied.
Yes.
So yeah, it's exponential, the amount of things we need to bring places. I dislike not being like I still kind of do Naked Sundays just
Oh
solo
my
dolo.
God. Solo dolo.
It's just me right now, but I enjoy it. He's a baby, he doesn't care, but eventually that's going to change. I agree. Life is on a 3-hour schedule right now. Everything just rotates through 3 hours.
Yeah.
Feeding, tummy time, do some play, nap, start the 3 hours over again. I'd like for that to change.
Hey, it will. It gets better.
It's slowly
right?
been getting easier.
Yeah. So in LA life, they make it to LA, and Cara has a job lined up, but Natalie didn't. And this is such a funny scene. I've seen so much on the internet about this specific scene where, Natalie's on Indeed or she's looking for a job. And if you look closely, the job search that she uses, she goes on and on about how, there are only internships or mentorships and there's no paid gigs. Like, you can use the filters to filter only like paid gigs or only gigs for entry level. Like, she uses no filters. So her looking up all these things, it's very difficult for her to find a job that have her qualifications.
So in this scenario,
Yeah.
Devin is the Natalie. It's very clear, Sarah, that you work in human resources because you know that, and you're like, well, why aren't they using the filter function on Indeed?
There were articles on the internet about this specific scene, so it's not just me.
See, I go on Indeed and I just type in probably exactly what she typed in. Jobs in blank.
Well,
And then
yeah.
I just scroll for a little bit. Oh, wow, there's nothing.
Yeah. So she ends up applying for a job with Lucy Galloway, who is, this big shot at this animation agency or this company that she really wants to work for. And Lucy's like her mentor. Like
Or LeBron James.
Yeah, like somebody who she really, really looks up to. Sure, LeBron James.
We were at a friend's camp cottage yesterday. And how old is Ruth, do you think?
She's 3.
She pulled up like a Toon Squad, like Looney Tunes
Yes,
book. And I'm like, oh, who's your favorite in the Toon Squad? And she's like, LeBron James. I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, not Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck? No idea. She just like LeBron. I'm like,
Yeah.
You're spending too much time with your dad, I think.
Definitely her dad. That is for sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So back to family Natalie. So her parents hate having her back home, and their gym is in her bedroom. And this part is hilarious. It's probably like 8 a.m. and there's the mom and the dad just working out right beside her bed.
Well, it also brings up the question. I think this has happened to everybody who has left for college and then come back.
Yes.
And their parents are like, oh, well, actually, your room isn't your room anymore. And you're like, well, what is my room? And you're like, well, it's my painting studio with a bed in the corner. Like, oh, well, thank you. Like, what? Did anything happen to your room?
Mine's an office now.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, mine's an office. Yep. You don't have a room anymore.
It was, yeah. That house is now non-existent, but I think it was like a little painting area.
Oh,
for
it was
bit.
a painting area. Yes, it was.
Which is like ridiculous.
What's better, an office, painting area? I don't know. But it wasn't, yeah.
I also didn't go away for school. Like, I stayed in the same city. I just left the house. So I feel like they didn't need, like, you don't need to stay overnight. Just go home. Like, drive home.
Yeah. And I think in general, Natalie's having a rough time being pregnant and kind of leaving the LA dream behind at the moment. Whereas for LA Nat, Kara's going off to work, and Natalie decides that she's going to go to an event that Lucy Galloway is hosting. And she gets there. She's all dressed up. She looks good. And she tries to get in, but there's like literally a guest list on there. And she decides to order a shot of tequila just to give her some, some confidence to get in there. And she meets this guy. And
hilarious
the guy,
meet cute.
It is hilarious meet cute. Like, this was very close to my next like best scene, because I loved the banter between these two and like how it turned out that he actually was part of the event too.
Yeah, it's our LA love interest, Jake. And it's funny because Natalie gets to the bar, she can't wave down the bartender, so Jake like yells to him like, "Hey, Horatio," and she says like, "Oh, no, I don't want a drink." He's like, "Well, I'm not buying your drink. I'm just introducing you to the bartender.
So you can get your drink faster."
And then he explains to her, like, just go in. Just act like you already been there. Like,
have the confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And she does it. Have you ever had that moment where you had the confidence and you got in somewhere you weren't supposed to be?
No, I can't lie. So
I
literally
true.
couldn't get a gym membership.
Oh, my God. Sarah is so bad at this stuff. Through my work... we had like gym memberships at a local gym. We didn't use all of them on all of the staff. So I asked my boss, like, "Hey, do you mind if, my wife Sarah wants to go to this gym? Do we just have an extra one?" And he's like, "Absolutely, yeah. Just tell her to take it out on the company account." And I said, "Great. Sarah, go to the gym. Just tell them you're on the company account." She's like, "Well, hold on. I can't just go in there. I don't work for you." I'm like, "Yeah, but like we essentially paid for X amount of gym memberships. We're not using them, so just put it on the account." She's like, "But I don't work there."
No. What I said was, "What exactly do I say?"
And I'm like, "I told you what to say."
And then I said, "Can you write it down so that I can read it to them?"
You can't.
And you
just
said
say
no.
It's on the company account. It's fine.
And then you had somebody call for me.
Well, yeah. Then we had somebody actually call the
which was so nice.
owner,
which was so nice.
Which is honestly a little embarrassing.
Whatever. Okay, I got it. So.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Natalie goes into that event. Lucy Galloway is not there, but she kind of has a really nice, it's a meet cute with this guy, Jake.
Yes, it is. And I liked this meet cute.
He's very suave.
I was just about to say, he's super suave.
And I feel like he doesn't try too hard to be suave.
He just love it. Yes, yeah.
I want to see that guy in more stuff.
You know what? I almost wanted to see him more in this movie because, like, he eventually goes away on this, like, work thing in Nova Scotia.
Scotia.
And then, like, he's kind of just, like, on video chats a few times until the very end. And you're just kind of like, oh, I liked their dynamic. Like, I loved their chemistry. I wish we would have gotten more of it. So she does get a call for that assistant job a little bit later. And Jake totally helped her get that interview. Basically took her resume and put it to the top of the pile.
She didn't know. She shows up for the interview and he's there. And she's like, hold on. Do you work here? Like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, I had to make sure you weren't crazy. You appeared to be stalking Lucy Galloway, and that's not good.
I feel like that was the right move. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like that was the right call.
Oh, for sure. But he did kind of tee her up to say the right things to get the job, and she clearly did. She got this assistant job with Lucy Galloway. Also in the interview, though, she definitely displayed a lot of extra knowledge about, like, somebody comes and knocks on Lucy's door and she's like, oh my God, you're so-and-so. You did this amazing animation project. We're gathering that, like, Natalie actually knows her shit.
She knows her stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So back to Family Natalie. And she's working as a barista and doing kind of doodles on her cups, but really not drawing like she should be. And she goes into labor and has Rosie, and they're over the moon happy, her and Gabe. Again, just friends. But Natalie's not having an easy time adjusting to motherhood, and her mom says to her, like, that you do mourn for the life that you had before. You're never not going to be a mother again. And Natalie says, she feels like she just doesn't have a life anymore. She doesn't draw. She doesn't see her friends. And so she's having a really, really hard time adjusting to this. Again, I think it was letting go of this career goal that she had in mind for this 5-year plan. So for LA Nat, she's having lunch with Jake, and we honestly see, like, how perfect they are for each other, quoting the same 5-year plan quote from Benjamin Franklin and saying that there's nothing wrong with being planners. They're literally made for each other. And then we see a scene after this where they're definitely getting closer, and it's Jake's birthday, and he decides that he's going to let the goats run free around the office. Now, they're doing an animation, like, I think, a movie on goats at where they work, and which is why I assume that they have all these goats hanging around. But, like, wouldn't somebody have said something about all these goats running around the office? Like, I'm thinking of the poop.
Lucy Gallo, and there was poop in the scene. Did you see it all?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. If you looked at the floor, there's poop everywhere.
Okay, well...
Take a close look at the floor in those scenes.
People, take a close look.
But take a look for that's a quick fact before your quick facts. Look at the shit on the floor. It's there, guys.
Okay, I gotta see it.
Lucy Galloway also does not strike me as somebody who would let that go easily. So yeah, I was kind of like, this doesn't follow. This office seems to be run by somebody who is, you know what? She's not like a mean person, but she's just very focused.
Yeah, she is very focused.
Intensely.
Yes. And part of me, like, wonders why that scene occurred.
Yeah. It was just like, hey, love is blossoming.
Maybe, yes. Okay, the connection is there. Ooh, look at this. Yeah. So she is walking around with Jake outside. They kind of go, I think, maybe, a place downtown. And he did get another job, and he may or may not take it. But they talk about what food describes Jake and what food describes Natalie. What food would somebody describe you as?
I think I would be... like an apple.
An apple?
I think I'd be an apple.
An apple, okay.
Because I'm sweet, but there's some sustenance there too.
Oh.
You could live off me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And very, very interchangeable. You can do apple pie. You can just eat it alone. You can do a crumble, a crisp. Just have it in a fruit salad. A little bit of apple
versatile.
Slices. Very versatile. Even a snack as an apple. I feel like I'm snackable.
Snackable.
What do you think you are?
I think I'm a vine of cherry tomatoes.
Okay, you know what, Sarah?
What?
I had that.
Did you?
Tell me why.
Okay, so I'm small, compact, and it's bursts of flavor, bursts of excitement and emotion, and that's why I think I'm a vine of cherry tomatoes.
So the reason I thought you were, I didn't think vine of, I just thought tomato, because you love pasta.
Yes, I do.
But it would be too boring to call you pasta.
Yeah.
So you are the connection. You're the thing that
what
binds.
Makes it.
You bind it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I could be the paste. I could be the.
You can be on a pizza. You can be the first layer on a pizza.
I could be.
Hey.
Yeah.
Just crushed up.
Pureed, blended.
Yeah. So while all this is happening with LA Natalie, what's happening with Family Natalie?
Yes. So before I get to Family Natalie, though, Jake and Nat are now together.
Yes.
Yeah. So back to Family Nat. So Gabe gets his own apartment, and they do kiss, but Natalie just doesn't want to go there with him because she doesn't want to ruin their relationship that they have for Rosie, and he wants them to move in. Like, he's all in, but she says no. She kind of halts the brakes and actually tells him to go find somebody else, like go date somebody else.
Be single.
And she is the reason why he actually moved out. And after her friend Cara comes home and, they're talking, I think it's like a scene or two after this, and Natalie admits, she's like, I screwed up. Like, I told him to go and find somebody else, and I told him to move out. And what did I do? Like, I do have feelings for him, but I just don't want to ruin this for my daughter, Rosie. So Rosie's now a toddler at this point. Like, it's been like a year or two that has passed.
We're jumping a little bit in time.
We are. And, LA Nat is successful, and they're both getting, her and Jake are getting their careers off the ground, and they decide to move in together on that front. And so she also talks to Jake about getting his opinion on.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Her latest artwork, and he says, oh my God, it's great.
I'm gonna show Lucy my portfolio. It's hard to sell myself in that way.
You're gonna have to ask for what you want.
Jake is going to Nova Scotia for 1 year, and so they're now not looking into an apartment because he's just not going to be there. So back to family life for Nat. She has a backyard party. I believe it's for Rosie's birthday or something like that. And Gabe has a girlfriend. Her name is Miranda. And Nat's kind of pissed because he brought her.
Family Natalie is a little bit irrational with some of her complaints with Gabe. And I mean, she is a parent, but just, this was one of those times where I'm like, okay. You told him to go off and be single and meet somebody else, and now he has. You can't really be that upset about it.
Yeah.
You told him to bring a +1 to this party, so he brought his girlfriend. That
exactly.
follows.
Yeah.
Like, why are you upset about this?
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's because she didn't know, or no, I guess at this point she does know that they're dating.
No,
but
it's because she still loves him, but she doesn't know how to articulate
You're
that.
right. You're absolutely right.
Come on, Natalie.
Yeah, so she does go to visit Cara in LA, and while out at brunch, guess who they run into? She runs into Jake.
Which I found this so fascinating. So once again, this is family Nat in Texas, goes to visit LA. She meets Jake.
Yes.
And he spills a drink on her. He buys her table a drink. Nothing happens. And then Natalie stays overnight at Kara's place. This is family Nat. When she wakes up the next morning, she gets a phone call from Rosie, and Rosie reveals this other person babysat me last night. Nat's pretty pissed. She's like, who is this person? I don't know that person. I need to get back to Texas. And Kara is kind of like, what do you mean? I took the whole week off work. We see the priorities between, single Kara, and the same priorities are LA Nat, right?
Yeah.
No cares in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Family Nat, she needs to get back to make sure her kid's okay. And she comes back to Texas in a flurry, reams Gabe out. Who was that person? Oh, it was Miranda's sister. Well, I don't know her. And Gabe hits her with the big one.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I wasn't home last night because Miranda and I got engaged.
Yeah.
Gabe is now engaged, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. And Nat is just...
She doesn't take it well.
No, she doesn't at all. So LA Nat, she did give her drawings to her boss, Lucy, to take a look at. And her boss basically says, you're copying other people's artistry in terms of, the essence of what they're trying, the characters and the way that it's drawn. Yes.
This is my best scene, actually.
Oh, okay, then you go.
The speech that Lucy gives Natalie about how everything she's doing is so derivative. I thought it was very important because it is true, eventually you need to take the training wheels off. You can't have a safety net. And Lucy talked about how she quit her previous job. She got a crappy 9-to-5 that she didn't have to take home. And she put everything else in her life into animation.
Right.
And as long as you're living under these people, sitting, in this building, you're always going to take from other people. You got to find your own voice, is what she kept on saying.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she basically tells Natalie to quit.
Yeah.
I gather that Natalie didn't want to do that, so Lucy fired her. That's at least what she tells Jake. She's like, I got fired. She told me to leave. And in my head, I'm like, that's not how that conversation went down. She explained to you how to be successful and that being her assistant was not going to make you successful. So sink or swim, baby. You gotta leave and either grow some wings and fly, or you're just going to fall out of the nest. But it is what it is. And at this point, Jake is in Sable Island, so the connection's not great.
Yeah. The connection's not great, and so she's trying to have a conversation with him, but and he also seems like, not that he doesn't care, but he just seems very not there, like not willing to support her when she needs him.
Well, he did the classic male thing. She presented a problem, and he was like, okay, I'll get my contacts on it. And she was more like, I just want to vent to you.
Right, yes. Sometimes, you just need somebody to listen to you.
And he was clearly a little bit distracted. What do you think they were doing out in Sable Island?
I have no idea.
It is, if you want to take a little Google train into a unique area, Sable Island, Canada, is fascinating. It is a national park. The entire island is like over 100 kilometers long, but it's the site of an extreme amount of shipwrecks.
Oh,
specifically when people were immigrating from Europe here to North America. There was a ship of horses and ponies that crashed on Sable Island.
Well, they're free, aren't
the
they?
Sable Island ponies,
yes.
yeah. The humans died,
They're
the ponies
wild.
survived,
They're
and
wild.
they're wild, and they're also because they've been on the island so long alone, they've kind of become their own subspecies of ponies.
Wow.
Because they're so specific to the island, and they've just been breeding amongst
that is crazy.
themselves for so long.
That's really cool.
So maybe that's what the document. I'd be a little distracted too if I was out there.
He did kind of like not extreme sports, but kind of like extreme weather, like that kind of thing. Like it was very much so like outdoorsy stuff.
Shipwrecks,
I think,
maybe.
yeah. Which is why like they have this conversation, Nat and Jake, where it's like animation is not like his dream, his kind of forte. It's just kind of a stepping stone for him.
Well, he talked about how he wants to tell stories,
right?
And he doesn't know how those stories will be told. So animation is kind of his way in. But then it's like, how do I tell the stories I want to tell?
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, from this conversation back to kind of Nat and Jake talking over the phone, is that it's just not working. So they actually break up.
Yeah,
and so Nat moves. This is LA Nat. Nat moves back in with her parents after leaving her job and not having a thing with Jake.
Both Nats have moved in with the parents.
Yeah, pretty much. So in both worlds, in both timelines, Nat is trying to draw. So she's trying to come up with, her, and the song, I like the soundtrack here. The soundtrack was really good. It was just like really uplifting, and like I liked this kind of sequence.
Yeah. At this point, the Nats are more aligned than they've been since basically the pregnancy point. They are both trying to find their voice, trying to get back to animation, and trying to do their own short animation film.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? For Family Nat, they used to make jokes about Rosie as a baby was a little night owl. She would stay up all night thinking about all the things she had to do the next day. So that's what Family Nat drew. LA Nat drew like a canary bird almost, and like a tattoo parlor.
Yeah, it doesn't really go into detail about like what specifically that one is.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know why they didn't do that, but they're both birds.
They're both birds, which I find fascinating. But the moral of the story is both of them, in both of these universes,
yes,
Nat gets into South by Southwest with those short animated film submissions.
Yeah, so Family Nat gets to be on a panel.
With Lucy Galloway.
Yeah, for her short.
And she had never met Lucy Galloway at this point for her.
Yes, definitely. And then LA Nat, she actually gets entered into the competition, and it's premiering at the film festival. And she does try to call Jake, but Jake doesn't answer. And so she just kind of leaves a voicemail, saying like, I couldn't have done this without you. At South by Southwest, it's very familiar things here. So like Gabe's band is playing in both worlds. Like I said, Family Nat is on a panel, and LA Nat is entered into competition. LA Nat runs into Gabe just randomly. They haven't seen each other in 5 years in this timeline. They share a drink, and over chatting, she confesses the pregnancy test that she took on the night of graduation, but it turned out she wasn't pregnant. Just imagine how things would have been different is kind of how she frames it. But he's married to Miranda now, and they're expecting.
Yeah.
Whereas Family Nat, Gabe and Rosie go to see, the panel, and they go and see Gabe in concert afterwards. And we do find out at this point that Gabe and Miranda have ended things.
And he explained that it was because
it just wasn't her.
Miranda just wasn't Natalie.
Oh, that was so nice. So LA Nat, Jake shows up and is asking for a ticket, and she finds him outside trying to figure out his way in, and asks what he's doing there. And he said he wanted to surprise her.
Like this would have gone a lot better if I was just in there. Because he was like yelling, like, does anybody
Yeah,
have
I
a
know.
ticket for me?
I know. I need one ticket. And that he'd rather be there for her than anywhere else in the world. And they kiss. And so then the short premieres, and Lucy comes to chat with her, Natalie, after, and says that, you know, she was hard on her, but she's very proud of her. And that when she gets back to LA to come and see her. So obviously we know that she gets her job back.
You got a job, girl.
Yeah. And in an animation this time.
This is the only thing that bothers me about this movie.
Okay, well, then
Honestly,
you go
like,
for it.
This entire lead up, I really, really enjoyed. The whole journey to get here was amazing, and both of the Natalies are back, like on University of Texas grounds. I guess.
Yeah, walking.
They're
by.
walking past that same sorority house that party happened at 5 years ago, and they both choose. Well, like one of them's with Jake, the other one's with Gabe. They both choose to go inside. We see the lives converging. They both visit that bathroom, which is kind of strange.
I also like it's obviously like it's a sorority house still. It's not like it's condemned or there's nobody living there.
Breaking
how did
and
you
entering,
yeah,
like-
how did you go in and go upstairs and no one was using the bathroom at the time? Like how many people live in that house?
Yeah, they both look at the toilet that was getting
Yeah.
puked over. And
then they look in the mirror.
they look in the mirror and they both kind of agree.
You're okay. You're okay.
And they walk out. They both reconnect with their loved ones and continue on in separate directions.
Yeah, and then it pans to her sitting on the toilet waiting for the test, and we don't know what it ends up being.
Which universe ended up playing out.
Exactly. But that both would have been okay.
Both would have been exactly the effing same. It's just the journey to get to those points would have been different.
But think about they both ended up being her dreams.
Yeah,
I think that's
the 5-year
part
plan worked out exactly the same for both of them.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Just
not
different ways to get there, right?
there's not a lot to dislike about this movie.
I do.
And
like
I
it a
understand
lot.
that was the premise. I just thought maybe we could have varied it up a little bit. Like
I
really
really liked it.
it was exactly the same for
Yeah,
each of them.
man.
Okay.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Before we get to quick facts, can we play a little game?
Absolutely.
This movie is the ultimate expectation versus reality, or, the sliding doors concept like we talked about.
Yeah.
So I thought we could take this exact same premise, this
Okay.
idea,
Yeah.
and plant it in other classic romantic
Ooh,
comedies.
okay, I like this.
What is a moment where if one thing was just slightly different, the world would have diverged and everything would have ended up terribly different?
Okay. So, a few come to mind. My first one that comes to mind, and we kind of talk about it frequently enough in the pods, but serendipity. If he would never found that book with that info in there, with that bill,
Yeah, she put her phone number on a book, sent it out into the world, and he found it.
Yeah.
He would have just been in an unhappy marriage the rest of his life.
The rest of his life.
Because all he wanted to do was find
Yes, Kate
Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Wedding Crashers.
Oh.
Remember the guys?
Yeah.
Owen Wilson, Vince Vaughn. They almost did not go to the Cleary wedding.
Right.
It was at the end of wedding season. John, Owen Wilson's character, was not convinced until he saw Rachel McAdams' character.
This is true.
They almost never crashed the Cleary wedding, so then what happens?
Oh my gosh.
If that's the case, they probably still crash weddings. They never find their loved ones because both of them found their significant others at the wedding.
The sisters, right?
They end up crashing funerals with Will Ferrell years later.
Oh, God.
Right? It's the natural progression.
Maybe when What's-His-Face dies, that's when they meet them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so another one, to all the boys.
Yep.
What if Kitty never sent those letters?
Oh, I know exactly what happens.
Okay, tell me.
Lara Jean ends up with, not Noah Centineo's character, she ends up with John Ambrose.
Oh, you think? It would have to be, right? It would have to be. That's the other love interest.
But not only is that the other love interest, that's the only person she meets organically. Remember, she's volunteering at the senior home, and that's how she runs into him.
Yep.
She only runs into Peter Kavinsky.
Yep.
She only runs into him because he got the letter, and he confronted her. John Ambrose actually was at the same place, same time as her.
Right. Like that was
like
kismet,
just
for sure.
serendipitously.
Right. Absolutely.
I've got the Parent Trap. What if the parents never actually split?
Oh.
Right? Then you would have just had a really nice, happy family. Both twins would have known each other existed.
Yeah.
Meredith Blake is never horrible.
Yeah.
I said Meredith.
You said Meredith?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That is her name.
I know, but that sounded weird.
Meredith Blake.
Yeah.
Meredith Blake wouldn't have been sauntering in all mean trying to gold dig.
You're right. I mean, I never would have learned to put a floating like a blow-up mattress on water, though. So.
Oh, so Sarah even learned some stuff.
Yeah, I definitely learned it. What if though they never ended up at the same camp?
The kids? Oh, great question.
Right?
How long would they go before meeting each other? Eventually, they would have had to meet.
Maybe. Why?
Well, the parents can't go through life splitting twins for that long.
They did for 12 years.
God, you're right.
Right?
Nobody takes those parents to task.
I know.
As much as they should.
Yeah.
Split twins for that long? Horrible.
It's crazy. Okay, so I have one more. What about the wedding planner? So what if J-Lo never got her heel stuck in the manhole and Matthew McConaughey's character never saved her from the runaway garbage bin?
What if she just wore flats that day?
Seriously.
But this one is fascinating because they still would have met because she was still hired as the wedding planner.
Right.
But they went on the date.
Yes.
Her thinking he was single.
Yep. So wrong.
At the doctor's office, at the pediatrics place because he's a pediatric doctor.
He's a pediatrician. Yeah.
So like they still would have met, but maybe they don't actually. They wouldn't have ended up together,
right?
Because they didn't have that magical meet cute. She would have always known he was engaged. My last one: what if Tom Hanks just never downloaded like Messenger in You've Got Mail? You know, because remember, it was like the new thing.
God,
like I'm
right.
randoming messaging people on the internet. It's a little strange.
Yeah, You've Got Mail.
You've Got Mail. And don't forget, they did meet at a party.
Good. Like, it was not a Meg Ryan. Like
she told him off at a party.
Yes.
That would have been their
it.
only interaction.
Forever. They would never have really had any interactions further.
Well, they would have just hated each other.
Wow.
Having not realized that if they never messaged each other, they would have met once at a party, hated each other, goodbye. That's it.
That is so true. I love that.
And like 16 Candles gets an honorable mention. Just somebody remember the birthday, guys.
Oh, I know.
Like so easy. This whole movie doesn't need to exist.
The whole day.
Acknowledge the birthday. 16's a big one.
It is a big one.
Quick facts.
At the graduation party, there is a selfie-free zone sign up on the bathroom door. Early in the development of this movie, the original title was Plus Minus. That's what it was called.
Huh.
Yeah. While Natalie is pregnant, she's reading What to Expect When You're Expecting, the book, which she later insults and says she hates the book. Similar to the 1998 film Sliding Doors starring Gwyneth Paltrow and John Hannah, this is said to be kind of this movie's based on the Sliding Doors movie. Natalie says that she was inspired by Rosie for the character of Night Owl. However, she's seen drawing it prior to Rosie being born. Throughout the movie, Gabe and Natalie wear shirts that show off their interests. Gabe wears band t-shirts and Natalie with, anime or animation t-shirts. The movie Whisker Away that Natalie praises in this movie and compares it to the cult classic Spirited Away is also a Netflix movie.
Huh.
When Natalie wakes up at Cara's in LA, she's asked if she wants Blue Bottle. Of course, Natalie doesn't know what that is, and then she finds out, realizes that it's a coffee brand. So it is a coffee brand from California, and it has since grown to other states, including New York. But being from Texas, Nat wouldn't necessarily know that coffee brand. At the beginning of the movie, Gabe's band is seen playing the cover We Are Young by the band Fun. Later on, near the end of the movie, at the South by Southwest Festival, they play that song again. We don't hear the band playing any original songs in this movie. The credits show Natalie's continued success. In one instance, Natalie is seen accepting a film award, and the other shows the cover of a book with her listed as the illustrator.
I also wonder, so I'm just reading about their shooting schedule.
Oh, yeah.
So they shot in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And then they had to do a bunch of reshoots in early 2022.
Oh,
but
really?
They picked Vancouver.
Of course.
I wonder if it's because Lily Reinhart was shooting Riverdale in Vancouver, and they're like, why don't we just come to you? They did some coffee shop stuff, a library scene.
Oh, cool.
Probably the library scene we saw as the first
beginning.
scene of the movie. They had to reshoot that, so they did it at Vancouver Public Library.
Very cool. I love that. That's awesome. Good tidbit, Dev.
Hey, a little addition. Honorable mentions.
Okay, so my honorable mentions are her parents.
Oh, the parents are really good.
They're really funny.
Yeah.
But I liked also the duality of the storylines. I just have to say that.
I've kind of got two.
Okay.
I've got no what should have been, two honorable mentions.
No what should have been. My what should have been is I loved the ending. So I have no what should have beens.
Perfect. My honorable mention one, the death of the star-crossed lovers storyline. I was really afraid when they were at South by Southwest. LA Nat was there. She meets Gabe. And I thought, oh no, are we going to do one of those things where she was just destined to end up with this guy no matter how life...
happy that they didn't do
that. And they meet, they chat. Clearly there's still maybe something there, but no, she ends up with Jake. And I really like that because they didn't... It would have been far too cheesy if it's like, hey, and here comes Gabe, and wow, they're still in love. Like, no. No, don't love that.
And I liked that for the ending too, though, is that they didn't choose whether she was to be a mother or whether she was to do her career.
Right.
Because the instance where, she had Rosie and still was successful in the career that she wanted, it just goes to show that you don't have to choose one or the other. You can figure out a way. It may not be linear. It may, it might take some turns and twists, but you can ultimately have the things that you want and the goals that you want. It just might take a little bit longer. And I liked that they didn't make it seem like there was a right choice versus a wrong choice.
Yeah. My other honorable mention is just the fact that they named their kid Rosie.
Okay.
Is that an homage to the movie Love, Rosie?
Oh.
Think about the parallels.
Okay.
In Love, Rosie, she was supposed to leave her little town, go off to Boston to go to university.
Okay.
She ends up getting pregnant.
Yeah.
And she can't do that anymore. She was going to go and do that with her best friend who she couldn't acknowledge that she loved.
Oh.
The storyline of Rosie and Natalie is very similar, so I find it fascinating that they named the child Rosie.
It's like the American version of Love, Rosie.
A little bit, yeah. Like lots of similarities for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I like that.
And now, overall rewatchability.
Okay, so my rewatchability is as follows: chemistry 4, storyline 4.2, thirst factor 4, imagination 4.3, soundtrack 3, cheese 3, for an overall score of 3.75 out of 5.
Wow, that's better than I thought it was going to be. So I have chemistry 4.2, storyline 3.4, thirst factor at 2.7, imagination 4.1, soundtrack 2.8, cheese 3.7 for an overall score of 3.48
Okay.
out of 5.
A little bit lower than mine.
A slightly lower, solid watch though. Very good.
I really liked it. It was a good one for, nice new rom-com.
It's a nice new Netflix rom-com. It's fresh. It feels good. This has been the Rom-Com Rewind of Look Both Ways.
Thanks for listening.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.